Hello, we're having a shoot, the podcast where two guys with severe ADHD joke about wrestling, and it's a real good time. I'm your host, the franchise, Chris O'Neill, and with me is my triple threat tag team partner, Mr. No Gimmicks Needed, Joey Rigney.
Hey, how you doing? It's really good to be here.
Joey and I are big marks for the franchise, Shane Douglas.
The franchise!
The franchise! He would wrestle you tonight, but his arm is broken.
That's just it's the fucking best. Just like, he talks all this shit, and he's just like, well, I would fight you tonight, but my arm is broken.
Yeah, it's robble. Ric Flair held me down in WCW.
And
well,
fuck
maybe if you
Ric Flair.
stop puking in the ring and breaking your arm, then it wouldn't have. But anyways, today's episode, we are not talking about Shane Douglas. That might have to be for another episode. We are going to be
an
talking...
entire episode dedicated to Shane Douglas.
I feel like that would be like our ECW episode. Like a good amount of that would be... Well, like, because he's so important to ECW. But, like, I feel like we could... I feel like it'd be fun to just do an episode about the franchise.
Oh, yeah,
honestly.
that'd be great.
I'd enjoy it. We sit down and watch his best and worst matches. That one match where he's wearing a shirt in TNA, that one's a good old time. But, anyways, we're not talking about the franchise today. We are talking about AEW, baby.
AEW, baby.
AEW.
AEW. So everyone knows where in time we are right now, because that's important to know in terms of like AEW's product and their overall storylines going on. We just got done with the yesterday on May 11th.
Yeah, Dynamite was literally last night.
Yeah, and that just happened. We saw Danhausen's in-ring debut, and it was the best in-ring debut for Danhausen I've ever seen, where he got fucking squashed by...
Oh, Tony Nese fucking killed him, dude. Oh my god. Tony Nese, as soon as the match starts, he shoves him in the corner, hits the running Nese, and fucking wins.
1, 2, 3.
And then,
just like...
yeah, just immediately. But that's okay, because number one, Danhausen doesn't need to win to be over. He's like one of the only characters in wrestling
that is so true.
That applies to.
Danhausen to me reminds me of this is gonna be a weird analogy, but I'm casual, so this is kind of the only ones I have. He reminds me of what modern day Boogeyman basically is that he basically just shows up to do his like a joke thing, and then he doesn't wrestle. That's kind of
no. I think that's a perfect comparison. Honestly, whether people like it or not, like I think that's a good comparison. Because like wrestling, it's gonna sound weird, but what he does in his matches, move wise or work rate wise, isn't really the point. Not to say Danhausen can't work, but
yeah,
like
he can work, but like I feel like people in general are more invested in the motherfucker that curses William Regal and makes him cut a jig. Like,
yeah, it's the character work that you're there for, and also like there's the whole face paint thing and everything. But yeah, I think it's a very good comparison. But also, that was not the focal point of the segment. The focal point was, of course,
Hookhausen.
Yeah,
Hookhausen.
Dude, okay, I just want to get this out of the way. I was going to save this until later, maybe, but because I was going to ask, who are some of your favorite, like, new guys you've been exposed to through AEW? Hook is the fucking man, dude.
Hook is
honestly.
Cool as fuck. I remember I was talking with my friend who's been on We're Having a Stroke, and who we might get on here as a guest sometime, Marcello, and I was telling him the whole Marcello, the fucking guy, and I was doing the whole thing that you did to me when you were telling me about Hook, and I was like, guess what commentator's son he is, and he did the same thing that I did, and me was like, oh my god, he's Jim Ross's son, and we're like, no,
no, he's Taz's kid,
Taz's son. He's Taz.
Dude, and it shows, man. Like, honestly, like, people forget just because of how goofy he is on commentary to his benefit, because I love Taz.
Taz is great. I've been watching a lot more of Botchamania, and I love the fucking segments on Taz.
The insipid Taz commentary.
It's Taz!
It's Taz! But, yeah, Taz was a fucking beast back in the day, and that's translating for Hook really nicely, because I remember a lot of people were getting hyped because he's a handsome little boy, and I'm like, bro, he's just standing there. Like, okay, like, let me know when he does some shit.
And then he does
gets
some
in the
shit.
ring. Yeah, and I'm like, okay, yeah, no, I'm just a hater. Like, no, it's fine.
So let me ask you this, because Chris, you've known AEW, like, the general stories and everything, a lot longer than I have. When or where was the origins of the whole Send Hook thing? Because, like, that's the one thing that I keep seeing, and I'm like, man, where's that, like, how did that originate? Like,
so, like, the whole idea of Send Hook, right? So it was basically just their way of phrasing Hook's booking, and I know that's kind of an abstract way of describing it, but the basic kind of gist of it is that when he debuted, right, his dad, you know, Taz, this was when Team Taz was kind of in effect, right? Brian Cage was still the main guy of it, but like Ricky Starks and Powerhouse Hobbs had already joined.
Right.
And Hook started, he wouldn't wrestle, but he would kind of, he would like get involved in matches, like he would choke out some jobber with like the Kata Hajime or whatever. And Tony Khan like announced that he had signed him, and Hook kind of ended up becoming like an internet meme because of the fact that he carried himself like a tough guy, like a believable tough guy, just by being this like badass corner man, this young dude who would just choke out whoever at any given opportunity. And the whole Send Hook thing kind of became like a threat that Taz would give that just caught on as an internet meme because of how much of a badass Hook was. Or at least that's how I gather it. But I think that that's a pretty comprehensive way of saying it. And then that would kind of take off. And I think that's where the whole storyline with Danhausen came from, is that Danhausen is a bit of like an internet meme in his own right. Just for different reasons, and that like Danhausen is a funny character.
He's meeting Billy Gunn at the Ass Boy Ranch.
I find it so funny how like Billy Gunn is just unable to. He just corpses every time he sees Danhausen.
He can't keep it together around Danhausen at all, and it's cannot help it.
But yeah, that was a big highlight. So in terms of other matches from last night's Dynamite, we had a few pretty big matches for the Owen Hart
Foundation
tournaments.
Cup. I keep looking at it and I'm like, God, this thing, in my opinion, like, is beautiful. Like, I love like every single second of this tournament. Just everything it stands for, the wrestlers going into it, the fact that one of the fucking matches we got out of it was an FTR like turmoil fight kind of.
Yeah, like, where they did it that didn't result in a tag team breakup. God
bless.
Like,
oh my God, like never. Okay, I know like FTR right now is at the point of like kind of maybe turning face, or like they're basically at the point where they're kind of face.
They're
right
over
now.
And they hold like big tag team belts.
They hold
and
two.
Ring of Honor. Yeah,
2 fucking tag team belts, and like just like I don't want to see them break up at all, because like just like they are like.
It doesn't seem like they're gonna.
They're top tier tag team, like
they're top guys, literally. Yeah. And if you mention FTR, I might as well just mention the first the qualifying matches. I don't know if this was on first, but just since you mentioned FTR, Dax Harwood took on Adam Cole. That match was pretty cool, huh?
I was not expecting Adam Cole to take it, but it was still really good. Like,
yeah, it was awesome.
Mm-hmm. And then the main event of that show. Wait, Tony Storm.
Tony Storm and Jamie Hayter.
Hayter, yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was good too.
Yeah, it was good.
I like Jamie Hayter a lot, and I like Tony Storm a lot. I loved Tony Storm back when she was in NXT. Kind of a shame that things didn't work out for her on SmackDown, but she seems like she's doing pretty good here.
Oh yeah.
And Jamie Hayter is another pretty great like women's talent that AEW has kind of exposed the world too, which was pretty fucking cool.
Which is always good, you know.
And but the the other Owen Hart, I don't want to gloss over that one, but like
the entire like time of talking about Owen Hart tournament matches that happened last night is basically dancing around the elephant in the room, which is holy fuck. Darby Allin fought Jeff Hardy.
Which is kind of a textbook definition of a dream match, because I feel like this isn't too out there to say, but Darby Allin is pretty much this generation's Jeff Hardy. Like, he is.
Yeah. Like,
there's so many similarities between the two of them.
Many people, like, will always be, like, the debate between people of, like, oh, who is the face of AEW? Is it MJF? Is it Hangman Adam Page? Is it Kenny Omega? Is it CM Punk? I still am debating that in my head, but I know one of them that's very high up there is Darby Allin, just because of his like influence on the company as a whole, and
the fact that like the company like I don't want to say made him, because I know he did have a presence on the indies, but right. I know that like he was one of those guys that proved early on that he was going to be a star and he was going to do it in AEW. And he was fighting Jeff fucking Hardy here, and
it's literally like I'm sorry to cut you off again.
No,
like,
no, you're good.
Another sense of like a dream match quality with this match is that these are like in the wrestling world. Like, you might disagree with me on this, but like these are like two completely different generations of wrestlers coming together. Because like Jeff Hardy like was a part of one of the greatest wrestling like ladder matches of all time at Mania X7.
Yeah, TLC 2.
TLC 2, yeah. And then like he's been around for like what, like over 2 decades and shit, or like
yeah.
And like now he's like having this opportunity to take on Darby Allin, and like who's like the up and coming like kid in the industry and everything.
Yeah.
And like it's insane, like.
Yeah, and I mean like obviously like as far as like it's not a technical masterclass. The whole match is just them diving off of shit. But like, what did you expect, bro? Like that's literally what they do.
They both literally describe themselves as fucking stuntmen.
Yeah, and they're both great wrestlers in their own right. They have loads of charisma, but like they are both, one of the things that they are both known for is their willingness to take insane risks. Dude, I'm so sorry that I can't shake this fucking stutter for this podcast.
It's fine.
But
it's fine. We're talking about one of the biggest dream matches in like the past like what, 5 years? Like,
yeah, it sounds like we're blowing it way out of proportion, because it's the kind of match that like you know, I'm glad that they say that they put on a Dynamite main event, you know, because I think it was definitely well warranted.
Plus, at the same time, it also makes sense for the Owen Hart Foundation tournament, mainly because like this is like finally when like the actual quarterfinals like are happening, so it makes sense to main event one of them in the show.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
What else do we have? In other like non-tournament stuff, CM Punk took on John Silver. That was pretty fucking wild. We talked about it on
Punk.
The show.
Also, another note that we should add is that this took place in the shithole of Long Island,
which in AEW canon is heel. The city of Long Island is a heel city.
I kept looking at it as like a bizarro world, because like CM.
Well, now you just sound like Jerry Lawler, like, oh, we're in Canada, JR. It's bizarro world, you know. But I see your point. I see your point.
Because like CM Punk, one of the most over like people in AEW, who gets cheered everywhere else, gets booed out of the fucking building when he comes out while he's wearing a Rangers jersey.
In all fairness, like I love CM Punk, but there's not a man on this earth that can make me boo John Silver. I love that fucking guy.
That is also true. Dude, John Silver's fucking great.
Yeah, we've gushed about him on the last episode, but we cannot overstate how much we stand John Silver. This little machine, dude. He's great.
Oh, yeah.
kicked the shit out of Punk at some points, dude. It was nuts.
I cannot believe in that match that Punk fucking stared into the soul of Hangman and then did a buckshot lariat.
It was possibly one of the most mediocre buckshot lariats I've ever seen, but he
still did it. Like,
yeah, Punk seriously needs to stop. Like, okay, so Punk has like this long string of like, oh, I do my opponent's moves to fuck with them, and to varying degrees of success. Because like the diving elbow drop, his is not one of the better ones, honestly. But he wasn't. He it's a Randy Savage tribute. But I'm also like, dude, you fucking did not stick that landing very well. But what I will say is that they went back to the tried and true way of just making Punk the heel in this circumstance, is by making him like state out loud, I deserve something. Because if you think you deserve like a handshake or like respect from like not just Adam Page but anybody, you've established yourself as a heel because you're bitching to the face about I deserve respect from you, you know? And Hangman was like, nah, dude, fuck you, bro. Fuck out of here.
Yeah. That's interesting that you say that, because from the last week's Dynamite, when Hangman was doing his whole promo on CM Punk, I thought that Hangman was acting very heelish in his promo. So I guess that's kind of what they're going for with like the because like when I first saw that whole promo with Hangman and him being heel, I was like, oh, Hangman's probably gonna drop the belt because he's acting heelish. But now that Punk is acting heelish here too, I'm like, fuck, are they gonna go Are they going like they're trying to fuck with me? Like,
that's the thing, man. The tweeners are a hell of a thing in terms of pro wrestling dynamics. You know, it's not always so black and white, and if both guys are able to work it correctly, like, and people are gonna hate me. People are gonna fucking hate me for saying this. But if you go back and you watch early 1996 WWF, which is not a great period of business for the WWF, but Kevin Nash was ahead of his time, all right? Like, he was like one of the first like big tweeners, you know, where he made it work, where it's like, this dude is being such an asshole, but like, God, he's really fucking cool, and like he's not being overtly heelish, you know. So there's still a little bit of a doubt. So we're gonna have to wait and see to see who really cements the heel turn, because I don't know if in good conscience Hangman can drop the belt just yet. Maybe he will, and he'll trade it with Punk for a bit, but I don't know. We'll see.
There are so many like, fucking like, out there things that could possibly hint to what could happen, but at the same time we just don't know. The big hint to me, okay, I might get some shit from people. I think Punk might drop the belt. Punk might get the belt at Double or Nothing, only really because Forbidden Door is in Chicago. And if he comes home possibly with the belt, like that's I know it's shallow reasoning, but like that's where my head's at right now.
We'll see. I mean, so another thing that Punk's been doing lately, like Punk just out of nowhere, completely out of pocket, just said like, "Oh, I have no intention of fighting Kenta at Forbidden Door," and I'm like, "Okay, you're fighting Kenta at Forbidden Door then, right?" Yeah. Like, you're fighting him, like.
Didn't when Forbidden Door first get announced, Kenta immediately made an Instagram post saying, "Best in the world, I'm coming for your head."
Oh, dude, like Kenta has done nothing but talk shit about Punk for months now, bro. It's ridiculous because like Kenta invented the go to sleep, you know.
Oh, he invented it?
Yeah, he invented it.
Okay, I thought they just both had the go to sleep in general.
Well, no, see, so like Punk didn't use the go to sleep very frequently, if much at all, when he was in Ring of Honor, and that's because he and Kenta were there at the same time. Kenta was using it. Kenta and Punk has credited Kenta as like the innovator of it. But Kenta has like respected how much like Punk popularized the move, and now I think he's like trying to use that to like further a potential, interpromotional feud, which need we forget is possible now, because holy shit,
they're doing a fucking crossover event,
and we're gonna go see it live, buddy.
We're gonna go see it. You, me, Marcello, and another friend of your choosing.
Well, yeah, I'm still trying to figure that out, but I'll figure something out. But yeah, we're gonna go see it at the United Center, baby.
Okay. Also, the only reason why I'm really fucking saying that I hope. Okay, I said it before. I'm of the opinion that I hope Punk wins the belt. That is mainly because, I would love to see, like, as cool as Kenta and Punk would be, I am of the camp that I would love to see main event, Kazuchika Okada versus CM Punk.
Oh, you're looking for a champion versus champion kind of thing?
Well, they're both holding, because they're both because when you have a crossover event like this, in my mind at least, you want to have both your fucking champions go at it. Not for a belt or anything, but just like...
Yeah. Well, here's the thing, right? So I this is all speculation, by the way.
Yeah, we have no... They literally have not announced any card for this at all. In fact, I was literally like, to jump the gun a bit into a topic I'll get into later, I was thinking one of the matches they could do would be Keith Lee versus Tomohiro Ishii. But then I looked it up and I was like, "Oh, they did that on the Indies. They might not do it again."
Not to say they can't do it again.
Not to say they can't do it again, but I'm just saying like, "Oh, they already did it."
Yeah. Now personally, I would actually probably prefer to see, because Okada is the ace of New Japan. He has been for years.
He is the main event guy of New Japan.
Exactly. But like Adam Page, they've spent so much time building him up as an ace for AEW, and now he's finally come into it. I think it would be amazing to see him and Okada go at it, just as like just to further cement that. Obviously, Okada can win. He should win, honestly. But and also that saves Punk because Punk is going to get an amazing reaction in Chicago for no matter what. And
because we treat him like a cult hero, because to us he kind of is like.
Exactly. So he could fight Kenta. Like obviously, like I would love a match between him and Kenta, but he could fight like there's like a billion different guys he could fight. Honestly, like and
he could fight Will Ospreay, or
he could fight Yuji Nagata, dude.
Minoru Suzuki.
Oh, dude. Oh shit, dude. You don't want Punk to take his ball and go home again. Suzuki will forget about it, bro.
The one thing I will say for New Japan, the Forbidden Door thing, is that I'm seeing a lot of people like in their like own fantasy bookings of this event put like, oh, Jon Moxley against Kazuchika Okada, or Kenny Omega against Kazuchika Okada, which while that would be great,
Joey burps at the sound of the best wrestling match in the world happening again. But yeah, no, we don't need to see another Okada versus
my
Kenny
thing. My thing with that is that. Well, okay, granted I've not seen that match, but I've heard so many fucking good things about that. I'm going to eventually see it.
Okada and Omega?
Oh, yeah.
Well, that there's been like 4 of them, and they were all great.
My big thing with that is that that's happened before in New Japan. So if you did it here, like, it would just feel like another New Japan thing.
They should use their players correctly.
Yeah, like fucking have, like, I don't know, like fucking Hook fight fucking Tom Lawler or something or some shit.
Okay, I was totally about to correct you and say, well, they've already booked Hook's match but I realized that was for Double or Nothing, and also, holy shit, Hook versus Tom Lawler would be great. That would be so fucking good.
I literally just pulled that out of my ass just thinking about it, improvising, and then I thought about it, and I was like, wait, that sounds amazing.
Dude, so Joey and I went to go see Windy City Riot here in Chicago. Well,
I feel like we should also talk about that a little bit, because we did mention.
Yeah, let's sidetrack for a little bit to talk about that.
Oh yeah,
but just one thing I was talking, like, So Hook versus Tom Lawler would be great because Hook kind of has inherited his dad's shoot fighter gimmick, and Tom Lawler is a former UFC fighter. But when we went to go see Windy City Riot, holy shit, there was so much venom and vitriol in the crowd of just fuck Tom Lawler, bro.
it was like violent. Like
yeah, he was out there wearing tights that were patterned to look like jorts, and
wasn't he wearing like a fucking denim like ripped up jacket or something too?
Yeah, and he's the strong open weight champion right now, and he looks like a fucking goon, like an actual hockey goon. Like, and
he looks like an edgier fucking Orange Cassidy.
Oh my god, yeah, and he was out there fighting the
Blue Justice
Yuji Nagata,
which was
fucking insane.
It was so good.
Live.
It was okay. I think one of the coolest parts about that match was that it went on immediately after, like, what was it, like a 5-man tag match?
It was it was because Team Filthy had like a big 10-man tag match with like a miscellaneous group of faces. And then Team Filthy started this whole beatdown afterwards, and Lawler came out to beat up on one of the faces. I think he was beating up on Ren Narita, but I could be wrong. That or it was like Fred Rosser or something.
And then fucking Eugene Nagata, right? I'm sorry.
Yeah, Nagata. Yeah. Don't worry, you got
it. He comes out and starts cutting a promo in English, which I love. And he's like, Tom Lawler, you wanna fucking go? Put your belt on the line right fucking now.
And Lawler did it.
And he did it. And then Tom Lawler won.
He just won, yeah. He won. Like a bastard. Like a dick. And he danced. Also, he busted a move afterwards.
He did.
That 10-man tag with Team Filthy was pretty sick.
That was sick.
Because, dude, that fucking dive that JR Kratos did, the Taker dive, you remember that?
Yeah, it was fucking nuts.
Wiped out everybody. He's a big body dude as well, man. It's nuts.
I think one of the matches that really stood out to me, you'll have to correct me on who was in it because I've unfortunately forgotten a lot of their names. But excuse me. It was the
he burps at the mere thought of it.
God damn, I'm drinking fucking.
Was it the? Oh, no, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm drinking an
stroke. No. Go ahead.
It was the Extreme Chicago Street Fight match.
Oh, the Chicago Street Fight. Yeah, that was.
I know Brody King was in it.
Yeah, it was Brody King and David Finlay and Juice Robinson, who is now a member of Bullet Club, I guess, just out of nowhere. I mean, all right. It was them versus Jonah, formerly known as Bronson Reed in NXT.
Oh, yeah, Jonah, right.
Yeah, Shane Haste, formerly known as Shane Thorne in NXT, because all of the amazingly talented Australian wrestlers from NXT are just hanging out together now afterward.
And going to New Japan.
Yeah, and a man by the name of Bad Dude Tito, who has been kind of a regular in New Japan Strong. Yeah, that match was pretty nuts.
The standout fucking bit of it to me was Brody King randomly going under the fucking ring and pulling out a door. Just and a door. I was like, he literally pulled it out, and I literally screamed, "Is that a fucking door?"
I heard him. I was down on the ground level getting water because my throat was shot. My allergies had completely just screwed me over, and I was losing my voice. And I was in line waiting for and I heard Joey scream from the top row seating where we were in, "Is that a fucking door?" But it was amazing.
I didn't know you heard me.
There was one spot where those aluminum Sesame Street trash cans that are always under the ring for some fucking reason.
I like to call them the Mankind Special.
Yeah, exactly. Shane Haste got one of those put on top of him like Looney Tunes style, like it was stuck over his head. And then Brody King chopped him against the trash can so hard that Shane Haste did a full fucking backflip and landed right side up with his legs sticking up in the air.
The trash can spot that I remember like a lot from the fucking match was, I forget who was in it, but somebody had like a trash can over their head again, because this is wrestling and they keep doing that. It's really funny. But Jonah just sat on him and crushed the entire fucking trash can.
I think that might have been it was either Finley or Juice. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Took that. Tito hit like a blue thunder bomb and did like 6 rotations before he finally landed it.
Oh my god. It was like this like the fucking like somebody going through, Brody King sending a motherfucker through a goddamn like DeWalt ladder. Like
Shane and Juice took like biblical ass whippings in this. Like those two were getting it the worst out of all of them, honestly.
Oh yeah.
And in terms of the guy who was like dishing out the most punishment, like no prizes for guessing, it was fucking Brody King. That guy's a lunatic.
Which I find, okay, that's the one thing that I found like really fucking like off-putting, because I assumed like, yeah, granted it's a fucking Chicago street fight, so you know shit's gonna go down, but I thought, considering that he's under contract with like both AEW and I assume New Japan,
Brody has been working freelance for New Japan Strong during because he used to be under contract with Ring of Honor, but he left a bit before
they went under and stuff.
Well, no, they went under, and then I think he was one of the first guys who AEW bought up his contract afterwards. But yeah, he splits his time between the two because he's in the House of Black and AEW.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, he's in the House of Black and AEW, and he's doing fucking great in it.
Great work, yeah.
And I assumed that like, oh, he's gonna take some kind of like be more safe bumps because like he's trying to work like 2 promotions, and I'm like, oh shit, he went through a ladder. Like
you can't stop Brody King from working the Brody King style. You know, the guy's a monster.
And to jump the gun a bit, after the show, we didn't see this, but it was in like the press footage and shit. Afterwards, he approached Minoru Suzuki in the back and said like, I want to challenge you to a fight. And Minoru Suzuki said to him in Japanese, do you want to die, kid? Like,
speaking of Mr. Suzuki,
Tomohiro Ishii versus Suzuki. Okay, I feel like I need to preface this. This was my first introduction to Tomohiro Ishii. Holy shit, what a legend. Like,
I was very excited going into this, not just for the match, but because I knew that since this would be exposing Joey to a lot of New Japan mainstays, I knew that Tomohiro Ishii was very much the type of wrestler that he looks for. Like, am I wrong, Joey, in saying that
you
like,
are not.
Tomohiro Ishii
you
is
are
the
not.
kind of guy that you
I love the kind of guys that like just like fuck, I don't know how to describe it, but
just
like
hench and stiff, bro.
Yeah.
like dudes that work stiff.
Literal Quasimodo. Like,
yeah, but you know, like dudes that work like a really vicious kind of like brawling style. You know, like Walter or somebody like that.
Oh yeah, like he just like just Tomohiro Ishii's whole vibe just like was clicking for me, because going into the match, like going into the whole event, like the only people I think I knew really were like Minoru Suzuki and the guys from New Japan that showed up. Not from New Japan, from AEW, like Brody King
and the Factory were there.
The Factory, QT Marshall, like
Moxley,
obviously. Those were like the only guys I knew, and I came out being like, holy shit, Tom Lawler is awesome, Will Ospreay is awesome, Tomohiro Ishii is awesome, Jonah is awesome. Like,
yeah, for sure. And the match was these guys whipped 7 shades of piss out of each other.
Oh my god, like they just beat the living fucking shit out of each other.
There was a consistent both these guys chant going on throughout the whole match. And then Eddie Kingston comes out.
Dude, I that was like the most like I was like that was one of the biggest shock. That's the first time I've been in a fucking wrestling arena and been shocked by something. Eddie Kingston coming out, which if you listen to episode, I believe it's 18 of We're Having a Stroke, you will know he is one of the only parts of New York that I like.
He's from Yonkers, baby, from Yonkers.
Hey, yo, the world is cold. Better bond.
Hey, yo, the world is cold. Better bond.
See me looking at you, better knuckle up.
Knuckle up.
His theme is so good. And, like, he just fucking, like, starts, like, okay, here's the other question I had, because I haven't looked into it. Is capital punishment before Forbidden Door?
That's the New Japan DC show, right?
Yeah, that is.
I think that's this month. Yeah, so it's before that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, so he's fighting Ishii.
He's fighting Ishii, which is gonna be fucking cool as shit.
Yeah, the way they explained it was great as well.
Because actually, I'll let you take it because I don't know that much about it.
Oh no, it's okay. So like, if you've seen Eddie Kingston wrestle, it's very clear that he's emulating the style of King's Road, which is the classic All Japan Pro Wrestling style. Like his heroes are Misawa, Kobashi, Kawada, like the pillars of All Japan. Tomohiro Ishii was trained by Junichiro Tenryu, who is one of Eddie Kingston's heroes, and Ishii, being like a New Japan mainstay, is obviously very well versed in strong style. So they're building it up as like this veteran of strong style versus this like disciple of King's Road sort of deal, which is fucking badass. I do have to say one thing, Joey. I might have another guy who does kind of blow holes in your little I hate New York spiel. For the simple fact of, and I know this was a couple weeks ago, but since you're a big Wardlow guy, I feel the need to mention this. You know your boy William Morrissey, he's from New York, right?
Oh fuck, okay.
He's from Queens, yeah.
That's another guy going on the list. I know I fucked up with the list on the episode a little bit, because I also unfortunately left out John Silver, who should definitely deserve to be on that list, even though he's from Long Island.
Exactly.
But like,
he's like the two duality of Long Island.
The two duality of Long Island: MJF and John Silver.
John Silver is a small man, but he's good and buff. MJF is a piece of shit. But he's
a piece of shit that can't stay sitting doing a promo.
Exactly.
That's the one part of that whole fucking contract bit that I kept like fucking like being like, what the fuck are you doing?
Sit the fuck down, buddy.
Kept like standing up and sitting down, and I'm like,
I never thought I would
choose one or the other. Like,
dude, it's so funny that us two guys with horrendous ADHD are chastising him for this. Sit the fuck down,
wait, no,
geek.
Here's the other funny part about it. He has ADD, so like he's in the same camp as we are, and we're fucking shitting on him.
Exactly. But like, more to the point, when I was that's a great point. I forgot about that. But I will say, one of the reasons why this is another to circle back to AEW, because that is ultimately what we're trying to cover with this episode. We'll probably go more in depth with New Japan.
Quick side note though, I just wanted to mention this. This is my first time also seeing Will Ospreay. He is fucking amazing. I love him so much. That is all. I hope to see him show up at Forbidden Door, which he probably will. But yeah, he's awesome. Let's go on.
Absolutely. Don't worry. We'll talk about him more. I'm sure we'll do.
We can do a New Japan show probably, where like I get exposed to a bunch of shit.
Yeah, for sure. We could do that some point soon, and that we'll talk about Ospreay plenty. But circling back to AEW, one of the things that I always really liked about AEW is not only that it gets indie talent exposure, but a lot of times it will get guys who haven't who have kind of earned their way back up to the spot of national TV, because William Morrissey, W. Morrissey, formerly known as Big Cass, he has been doing amazing work in Impact Wrestling. He's really turned his life and his career around.
I still can't get over the fucking chants that were going on during his match against Wardlow. We want Enzo. No, we don't.
He to his credit, number one, he played it off amazingly, because he mocked Enzo's little footwork. And number two, he sure as hell proved that he doesn't need Enzo anymore.
He doesn't. He can just be a big guy doing big moves and shit.
Exactly. And he, but yeah, that was the first time he had, like, performed in front of a crowd that big since his run on SmackDown, and he
was it also his first time back on television of some kind?
Oh no, because he's been working in Impact, and Impact. Okay. I mean, it's not like TV, but like they put out their stuff on like streaming platforms and whatever. So, but still,
he's been out there. He's been out there.
It was his first time back on live TV, and he looked like he was having a blast, bro. He was fucking feeling it, man.
I did love his little bit of like he put his hand up, and MJF was like, "Put it down more, put it down more, put it down more," and they high-fived him.
Like, obviously, we love Wardlow to death, but that one bit where Morrissey, big fucking 7-foot-tall Morrissey, leapfrogged that corner shoulder block, whatever, and then hit that big boot and fucking popped off. Oh my god, it was so sick, dude. I'm like, I do hope he comes back, man. Like, once he wraps up his deal with Impact, you know, conquers that place because he's on his way. You know, I hope he shows back up in AEW again sometime because I feel like everybody deserves a turn. You know, in the big time, so to speak. You know, as long as they've got something to offer, and a lot of the guys that AEW brings in do. Like the vast majority of them have something to give. You know, which is great.
Like when fucking Keith Lee came in, like him and Swerve Strickland starting to team up. I was like, oh shit, that's cool as shit.
Wouldn't have thought to have done that, yeah.
Yeah, like Malachi Black, starting like his own stable and shit.
Yeah, like, you mentioned the House of Black earlier. I think that they've been doing great work, especially considering the amount of TV time they're allotted, because obviously there's not enough room on the A show for everybody all the time. And the House of Black makes it more often than not, but with what time they're given, they make the most of it.
I do remember I found it kind of funny how they called themselves the House of Black, even though at the time it was just Malachi Black and Brody King. And I was like,
it's just two guys,
It's just two people. Like, it doesn't feel like a house. And then Buddy Matthews came in.
Because on the Indies they were a tag team called Kings of the Black Throne, which they used for a bit at the beginning, and I think when the two of them tagged, they're still called that. But they started using the term House of Black to describe it. And I'm like, wait a minute, yeah, that's hardly a house. Like, what are you? And then Buddy Matthews, like, oh, it's three guys, it's a house now. Okay,
Buddy Matthews made this house a home.
Buddy Matthews. What a guy. Dude, I love that Buddy Matthews has been his purpose in AEW, and this is not knocking Buddy Matthews. Buddy Matthews is a tremendous
he's great.
wrestler.
He's great.
He is. But his purpose in AEW thus far has been to participate in trios matches, get a hot tag, and then just spam V-triggers until somebody hits him.
I think I remember, like, I forget what OSW review I was watching, but it was one where Buddy Matthews was in it when he was back in WWE, and they were
Buddy fucking Murphy, mate. Buddy fucking Murphy. Fair income, mate. Oh, you right, mate? Fair income.
I remember one of them was like, "Damn, Buddy Matthews is a massive Kenny Omega fan. He's doing all over the fucking place."
It was so funny because like he does use like the bicycle knee strike, which is a tremendous fucking move. I love that move. But he does use it. It's one of his staple moves as well. But when he was in WWE, they like never gave it a name, so they'd just be like, "Oh, the running knee," you know. Like, can't call it a V trigger. It's a D trigger. It's a B trigger. It's a B for Buddy Matthews.
But I think like in terms of AEW, one of the really good things that I think I've told Chris before, and I think in general that they do, is they elevate younger stars by not only putting them in more like higher roles and shit, but also like by teaming them up a lot of the time with older stars. Clear examples of that in my head immediately are Christian being with Jurassic Express, being like their manager kind of. Billy Gunn, and
with
the Gunn
boys.
and with his ass boys.
With his ass boys.
With his ass boys.
His children.
And recently, William Regal, John Moxley, and Bryan Danielson with Wheeler Yuta.
I was hoping you'd mention him because that was the first instance that really sprung to my mind is how really, really well they've been booking Wheeler Yuta recently.
I think I saw online that like people basically say that like Wheeler Yuta is basically like the intern at the Blackpool Combat Club that's just learning from the older guys.
Dude, he's gonna be competing in the again. I don't want to harp on about New Japan too much in this AEW episode, but Wheeler Yuta is gonna be competing in the fucking New Japan Best of the Super Juniors tournament this year. So that's gonna be fucking wild.
Yeah, I know he was also at Windy City Riot, but unfortunately, in the dark match beforehand, but unfortunately we missed it because the line to the arena was kind of like
there were only 2 doors and they were not able to funnel everybody in properly, so we did miss Wheeler Yuta and Rocky Romero's dark match, but I think like pretty much everybody did. So
yeah, basically, like over like 3/4 of the arena was not in there.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate, but it happens.
Yeah, it is what it is. But regardless, you're totally right about
like,
that.
I remember now. The big one that always sticks out of my head now is Sting and Darby Allin. Perfect example of that. Like,
and they didn't even fuck about. They went straight to it. Like, they even I'm so sorry. My phone just went off.
Is your ringtone Cult of Personality?
Yes, it is. I'm sorry, guys. CM Punk's entrance music went off. That means my laundry is done.
Oh shit! It's CM Punk.
Yeah, but yeah, and they had to. And I remember like back when Sting, I think this was Sting's like second night in the company. He comes out and he's in the ring doing promos with Cody, and he just straight up tells Cody like, "Oh,
I'm not here for you. I'm not here for you."
And he wasn't. And now Cody's all like, "Oh, wait, my whole life to be in a ring with you," and I'm like, "Well, hope you enjoyed it, buddy," because like,
this is it.
This is it. That's literally it, bro. You're gone now.
This is it, bro. Go enjoy WrestleMania.
Exactly. But yeah, for sure. And I think that a lot of it, and it does have to do with younger guys also picking up wins over big name guys as well too. Guys that are like experienced veterans who can still put on a great match. I think that one of the best examples of this, and I think that he's kind of fallen into the background, so to speak, in terms of broader AEW storytelling, but not in terms of when he has a match. I think pretty much anybody you put in the ring with Dustin Rhodes is going to come out looking great.
Yeah, that's true.
It is nuts how great Dustin still is.
Dustin's so good. Like, just the fact that, like, just Dustin's, like, well, to be fair, Dustin, like, now that Cody's kind of gone, Dustin has kind of filled, like, a more of the role of, like, I know, like, AEW is only, like, 3 years old, but I see him, like, kind of as, like, one of the grandfathers of AEW. Where, like,
He and Cody had that first, like, the first classic match in AEW history.
Which, the end of it always makes me cry. Of just, like, I don't need a great wrestler. I don't need, like, any of that. I need my older brother.
I need my older brother.
While he is just fucking gushing blood from his forehead. Like, it's like, it's a fountain,
like,
bro.
Dustin's trying to catch his breath. But yeah, they have loads of dudes like that. And not even, I'm just talking about, like, old guys, but, like, dudes that have, like, really long career. Like, Frankie Kazarian, he's still hanging around. He's getting a TNT title shot pretty soon, man. Like, he's still hanging in there. And there's loads of dudes like that. There are some guys, obviously, that are there kind of, like, doing a bit of a, throwback sort of thing. Like the Hardy Boys, for instance. Like, their run is kind of... I feel like they are expecting it to be a brief run, but just, like, making the most of it while it lasts.
Yeah, just being able to say that, hey... We had the Hardy Boys show up in the Kings of Tag Team Wrestling currently, AEW.
Mm-hmm. Oh my god, yeah. And speaking of just like, they are the kings of tag team wrestling, but I feel like we should also say as well, like, AEW is amazing, but it ain't perfect, obviously.
It is not. We've mentioned this before in episode 1, but the big one to me is like their productions, like camera work and everything. It's not the best. Sometimes the show quality, like, sometimes it's like not the best, but like, it's still good for what they're like, because like it's clear, like, I keep going back and forth on this because like it's clearly
production's a little spotty. Yeah,
it is spotty, and like because like I remember I mentioned the camera in the last episode, and in the most recent episode of Dynamite, I watched it and I saw that like John Silver kind of had a little bit of a, like, I know they didn't intend this, but he had a little bit of a lower angle, or like a higher up angle to him.
Yeah.
Just because like that's how the way they shot him, and like he was so short, they had to angle the camera a bit down to get him into frame. And I was sitting there like, oh man, he kind of looks kind of like small and weak a bit from that angle.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
but then you get zoom in, it's like, whoa, look at those shoulders. Like,
yeah.
But and another thing, and this is more of a booking concern, and this is probably the biggest booking complaint that AEW has ever gotten, and it hasn't gone away for a very good reason. Despite the division being completely stacked talent-wise, pretty much everybody involved brings something amazing to the table. AEW have got to give their women's division more time of day.
Oh
honestly.
My god.
Would it kill them to put a second women's match on Dynamite? Like, for real.
I have to say this. You might disagree with me on this, but like Thunder Rosa's recent promos have been like, they have not been the best. Like
I don't think they've been
promo
terrible.
section between her and Serena Deeb, I was like, that's awful. Like,
it's disappointing, and I don't want to count the chickens before they hatch or whatever. I want to let it play out, because I will say this: they've been a little bit lackluster. Happens to the best of us, but I do think that like Thunder Rosa can do better, and they're gonna let her, because it was the most high. And here's another thing: the reason why I'm saying AEW needs to give the women's division the time of day more, and not AEW's women's division is bad, is because when these women wrestle, it's fucking awesome.
Oh my god.
It is.
Many people might disagree with me on this. And granted, I think I got into this the perfect time to like see this. I love Jade Cargill. Like,
oh yeah.
Everything about like her being like basically like the quote unquote Undertaker, kind of, with the streak
I'd
like the women's division.
Well, I'd liken it more so to Goldberg, because Undertaker's streak was Mania to Mania. Goldberg's was day to day, TV to TV, and that's what Jade's got going on.
Jade's like her whole like also image of like kind of like women's empowerment of like be baddies. Like, I love Jade. I love that so much.
Like Kiera Hogan and like Red Velvet, right?
Yeah,
like, and the whole baddies thing.
And
yeah,
like
that's pretty sick.
And also, like, I'm kind of biased because she also dressed up as Storm and Jade from Mortal Kombat.
I was about to say,
cool.
like, dude, like, we're not gonna dance around it. Like, we're not hard to please. And Jade Cargill was already a fair way towards winning us over just by being like an unbeatable baddie. But like,
also,
she's a beautiful woman. I'll put it that way.
I mean, also at the same time, like, another reason why I kind of like Thunder Rosa is that I saw one day she dressed up as X-23, my favorite like X-Men. Yeah. So like, I was like, fuck, that's cool. Like,
but yeah, AEW's women's division has all the potential in the world. Damn near everybody in it is great. AEW's just got to give them more spotlight, you know?
Yeah.
Like, just put an extra women's match on Dynamite, you know?
That's the one thing that I'm interested in to see what they're going to do with at Forbidden Door. Because my idea with what they might do is that they might also bring in Stardom.
Yeah, that would, if they do want to do crossover women's matches, they'd have to, because Stardom is New Japan's sister promotion.
Yeah.
Because in Japan, for those of you who don't know, they have Joshi Wrestling, which is women's wrestling, but they're designated to their own promotions for the most part, which is why women's wrestling in Japan has been light years ahead of American women's wrestling for a good long while until recently. Yeah. Until like the 2010s, because women's wrestling just got its own promotions. Like they got like full booking attention and shit. It was great.
Like whole storyline attention and like everything. And like, so I didn't have to worry about like fitting two different things in one promotion.
Yeah. But now women's wrestling is booked on par with men's booking in America too. So it's great. Now the women can enjoy all of the perks of the men's booking, such as being bad sometimes. Sometimes your booking is also shit if you're a male pro wrestler. It's just not as degrading for the most part. Just look, we've eliminated bra and panties matches. This is a fucking win, all right? Like
we've eliminated bra and panties matches, and we gave Bianca Belair and Sasha Banks a WrestleMania main event.
Exactly. I don't care what nobody says. That is a fucking milestone.
That is a dub right there.
Like, they had Bianca Belair win the Royal Rumble during Black History Month. They knew what they were doing. Like, I will tip my hat to WWE. But also, get fucked. This episode's about AEW.
Half of your fucking amazing wrestlers are here now, which is why I find it so fucking funny that Chris Jericho went in on an interview with I forget who and said, "Not anyone from WWE can come here."
Okay, I'm sorry. Keep going.
And then he's just like, "Oh, hey, Swerve's here, and Adam Cole, and Keith Lee, and CM Punk, and like to a lesser extent, Sting, and like Tony Schiavone, and Jim Ross."
We're not trying to add to any, because part of the thing that I really don't like about the current internet wrestling community, or the wrestling community as a whole, is this intense tribalism between WWE and AEW.
I agree.
What Joey and I are trying to do, we're not trying to contribute to that. We are making jokes at the expense of WWE, but we are also making jokes at the expense of AEW. We're just fucking around, honestly.
Yeah. We're making jokes at the expense of multi-billion-dollar corporations, basically.
Exactly. Fair point. Yeah. So it's like what you like. Just as Brian, one of my favorite internet wrestling personalities, Brian Zane, who runs the Wrestling with Regret YouTube channel. You should check that out. It's loads of fucking fun. He had this little turn of phrase, like what you like, just don't be a dick. Yeah. And bear in mind, he said this back when NXT was good. Like, so zinger, just got it with a zinger in the end, you know. But yeah, to like what you like, just don't be a dick.
Don't be a dick.
But Tony Khan, you probably should have your ladies wrestling more. Just saying.
Like,
you know,
I mean, like, cause like. I keep looking at the women's division and being like, holy fuck. Toni Storm, Ruby Soho, Jade Cargill, Britt Baker. Like, shit,
I always keep catching, like, Paige Van Zant keeps catching my eye, which is funny because, like, AEW announced that they had signed her, and then immediately news broke, like, Paige Van Zant may be taking a hiatus from pro wrestling. And I'm like, she never started. She just stood out there looking like a badass while Dan Lambert buried Brandy Rhodes so hard she left the company.
Okay, that's the one insane part that I keep thinking back to. We were there at the Chicago Dynamite when CM Punk fought MJF, which we will get into at like the end of this episode. But we were there for the last Rhodes segments in AEW history,
where Brandy Rhodes came out, did not have the best reception.
It was booed out. Was booed out of the building.
How weird is it to say? like, I won't lie, and I think, Joey, please back me up on this. We were kind of like, Dan Lambert had us, bro. Like,
yeah,
he was hilarious.
Dan Lambert's so funny. Like,
I don't care what anybody says. Like, I know that, like, the whole American Top Team thing in AEW has been kind of shaky, and Men of the Year haven't really amounted to much as a team. Like, but Scorpio Sky's doing good right now, and I think that, like, no matter what, like, Dan Lambert is a fucking great heel manager, like one of the best right now.
Before I end up in a flaming ball of cancel culture.
Oh my god, he's great. But yeah, I suppose there's no better way to cap off the episode than by talking about our last live AEW experience when we went to.
Well, I was thinking we also go over the feud of the year.
Oh yeah. Okay. Let's just tie it together with. We'll combine them.
So there is a wrestler that came back after a 7-year hiatus.
We talked about him.
We've talked about him multiple times, and that wrestler's name is CM Punk. After a long hiatus, he has returned to wrestling in one of the best promos I've ever heard in my life, coming back at the United Center. Was it the United Center? I want to say it's the United Center.
It was the United Center. I was there for that too.
Yeah, which is awesome.
Like a Chad.
And
I saw Sting hanging out up in the rafters like a little creep, you know. with his face paint son, Darby Allin.
You got your fucking ice cream bar.
Yeah. But anyways, he comes back, and MJF, he's a little butthurt because his hero wouldn't shake his hand.
And also didn't mention him during any interviews.
Exactly, because Punk didn't want to fight him because MJF's a little meanie.
Little bitch.
Little bitch. But anyways, these two exchange long wars of words. And MJF obviously keeps putting off getting a match with him. Punk has to go through various challengers.
He goes through Wardlow.
He survives Wardlow.
Yeah, he survives Wardlow. And
squashes Sean Spears.
And he squashes Sean Spears. Which I love.
Which is great.
So much.
And then eventually, he takes on MJF in his hometown of Chicago. And he loses. Twice. Not clean. Both times it wasn't clean, but
it was not clean. But like
he gets beat dirty twice. And we were mad.
I was, as you said it, as you put it in episode 10 of We're Having a Stroke, I was miffed. Like
we were miffed, bro. But it's okay because that was not the end of the story. Because you see, Tony Khan, I'm not sure if you know about this, he likes Ring of Honor quite a bit. He's a fan, to say the least. And what he did was he went back and he watched one of his favorite matches, that being the famous dog collar match between CM Punk and Raven, which was one of the most legendary independent wrestling feuds of all time. And add an additional layer to this,
he also bought Ring of Honor.
Exactly. But also AEW has a fine tradition of dog collar matches, the most notable being the last match of the late great Brody Lee against Cody Rhodes. May he rest in peace. God rest his soul.
Literal legend of
oh my God.
Brody Lee. God rest his soul.
Absolutely.
Brody Lee Jr., TNT champion forever.
Bro, yeah, he's a lovely kid. Dude, have you ever heard like clips of him like on the commentary booth on like AEW Dark? Taz and Excalibur love this fucking
what?
Kid. Dude, he's sitting there like talking shit about Excalibur the whole time, like saying his mask looks stupid, how stupid his face is, and Taz is just laughing his ass off the whole time. But anyways, they have the rematch, and it's amazing. CM Punk comes out because
he comes out to the fucking Ring of Honor theme.
Nothing and
nowhere at all. stepping again and
Stay tuned to We're Having a Shoot for more shitty covers of pro wrestling themes, courtesy of the two of us.
We fucking proved this in the first episode with something Cody Rhodes.
Exactly. But he comes out to his Ring of Honor theme song because Tony Khan he likes that song so much that he bought a whole company so he could use it.
That's the only reason he bought Ring of Honor.
Listen, I'm joking. Tony Khan's been doing some cool shit with Ring of Honor thus far. All right,
I'm not
being genuine.
I love that fucking image of him like freaking out like a little child next to fucking Samoa Joe on
literally
stage.
Just clapping like a spaz. Just, oh my god, I hired Samoa Joe. Like, but anyways.
This
sorry,
man is almost 40. Like.
I love you, Tony Khan.
Tony Khan, we love you so much. Please come on our podcast.
Yes, please come on our podcast. For the
Tony Khan, if you're looking to have a shoot, we're the guys to do it with. I'll tell you what.
Listen, book us, okay? We will.
Against Doug Walker and
book it. I don't care, bro. Put us on Dark Elevation. We'll take it. All right. But anyways, we were talking about CM Punk and MJF. But anyways,
okay, did you mention? Quick side note. Another important thing to note is that Punk
are we gonna talk
came
about
out.
Wardlow, or?
Well, okay, Wardlow the whole time was also having his face hint, but the thing I was gonna refer to was
I didn't mean to disrupt the whole thing.
There kind of like other things that I wanted to bring up. The big one was that MJF's like the second to last week. The week before the Go Home show to Revolution, MJF like revealed his like super villain backstory. Mm-hmm. And
basically,
I'll be honest,
he just went to a school full of like people who were like raging anti-Semites and just fucking hated him.
Yeah,
which is yeah, that's rough.
That's fucked up. That's fucked up.
Yeah, it's rough as fuck.
And honestly, like, I kind of teared up at that because I was like, "Fuck, dude." Because like as someone who has ADHD, I was like, I get that. Like,
and he felt for him, and Punk comes out, give him a big old hug. Well, actually, no, that was the next night.
He came out, asked him, "Is it true?" And he said yes, and then left with tears in his eyes, mind you. And then Punk in the Go Home show asked himself, "Is he the bad guy?" And then asked MJF to come out, which he did.
He reflected on all of his worst instances of being the bad guy. Like he referenced his Mania feud with Taker. You know,
he also talked about like making fun of Jeff Hardy's fucking substance abuse. And like his Taker feud, so much shit, and like then he
focuses on like the Raven feud more than anything else, obviously.
Well, yeah, because that's the back step of this entire thing, and then he offers MJF a handshake, and MJF just throws it out and gives him a hug, and then kicks him in the dick.
And busts him open, calls him a stupid, stinky old man,
and is wearing a shirt of the picture of him with fucking Punk, and smears his blood on it. And
it's
okay.
One thing
I love this feud so much. I think this is like perfect grade A wrestling storytelling. The second he opened his suit jacket to reveal a t-shirt of a picture of him with CM Punk, I couldn't help but burst out laughing. And it's that looks so stupid.
And it's like 2006, 2007, like ECW Punk, you know, like this fire burns, you know, that type of thing. And so it's such a throwback to like when Punk was like, his character in WWE was just competitive emo babyface. Like
when he was cutting promos, like, these tattoos mean a lot.
Oh, I love those old Punk vignettes.
Honor. A system that's broken. And he points to Randy. Was it Ruby Ruby the Riveter, right?
Rosie the Riveter. Yeah.
Rosie the Riveter, and he like went to another one, and I saw an amazing comment that's like, I care about honor, I care about like fixing a broken system, I care about being drug free. Oh, and I also like G.I. Joe and Pepsi, I guess.
Yeah. You know what my credentials are? Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Muay Thai kickboxing, Kenpo karate, 0-2 UFC record. I love those old babyface Punk promos. They're so like the WWE babyface Punk
the December
promos
to Dismember era, like fucking.
Oh, where they had Punk out first.
No, they had him out. They had him out second. Oh wait, no.
No. It was first.
It was first.
Fucking Hardcore Holly's out second, and he gets eliminated. So like, oh my god. Okay, quick tangent just about that.
We can have a whole like episode on December to Dismember.
He gets eliminated by RVD, who's like the only other face in the match.
And then like, wait, doesn't RVD get eliminated second or something?
He gets eliminated third. Hardcore Holly gets eliminated second, but he like fucks up his elimination in like I think like Test hits a move on him or something, and then he like kind of like he kicks out, but like right after 3, so it's like really fun. I don't know. This isn't about December to Dismember. We were talking about CM Punk and MJF, but anyways.
But yeah, they have the thing I love about the Revolution match, aside from CM Punk's outfit, which by the way I love how his skull and crossbones on his jacket is replaced with a picture of Larry, his dog. Yeah, definitely cute and fun.
He's rocking his old Ring of Honor like boxing shorts
and
like
also
black kick pads.
And also another side note, he did a promo section backstage after he got the shit kicked out of him by MJF and he was bleeding, and he said the iconic line of "I will become a monster to fight the monsters of the world." Direct callback to Ring of Honor, and I was like, oh, I love it. But
I've heard some people talking about this, and I feel like I want to gauge your interest on this, Joey, just like with what time we have. It's like, I'm not saying he had to play. He should have played an integral role in the feud, but because he shouldn't have. But do you think it would have been cool to have had Raven come on AEW TV, maybe just for one segment? I'm not sure what role he would have played, but I don't want.
Okay, here's the thing with it.
I don't want a fantasy book. I don't want an armchair book. What is objectively the best feud of the year?
Oh yeah,
or of last year, I should say. But yeah, I don't know. Okay, I don't know what role he would have played.
Here's the only way I could kind of see that working, and it's that Punk wins, beats MJF, Raven comes out and like shakes Punk's hand or something.
Yeah, or like Raven's
something
in the
like
crowd.
That.
Like
yeah, or Raven's like, in the crowd, like.
Yeah, like okay, because that was the idea I had. Is like Punk again. This is total armchair booking and just a little Easter egg. But like after Punk beats MJF at Revolution, like he looks up like high into the crowd, up in like the scaffoldings, and like Raven's up there hitting his pose or whatever.
Yeah,
because like Raven's an old dude at this point. Like he doesn't have to do anything. Like
basically, but
Wardlow turns face.
Wardlow turns face, which is fucking amazing.
And now he's one of Joey's favorites.
And now they're doing a sequel feud, I guess, to it, or at least an extension to it, where Wardlow's like, "Hey, get me the fuck out of my contract," and
MJF's like, "No, fight this big guy," and Wardlow's just been fighting big guys.
And now he's like, "Oh, fine, I'll fight you at Revolution." Not Double or Nothing, I guess.
Yeah. I did like the whole building of the feud, because MJF always does this with all of his feuds. It's like, oh, you want the match?
You want the match? You want the goddamn match?
You have to fight this guy, this guy, this guy. I love how with Wardlow, it's just been like, oh, you have to fight all the big motherfuckers I can find.
All of MJF's feuds are fucking fighting game arcade modes.
Yeah. to be fair, I was really impressed by. I think the Butcher's looking great, man.
Butcher's looking really good. Like
he's looking jacked. He looks like really old, like an old school kind of like territory brawler or whatever. Yeah, he was looking great, and I think that is a very apt comparison, Joey, saying that MJF feuds are just arcade modes for the babyface. Like, it was like that with Jericho. It was like
that with Punk, and and it is like that with Wardlow currently, even though it's like at the near tail end.
Exactly. With Jericho, it was fun because he had all these, like, it's like MJF was throwing him, like, all the secret Mortal Kombat characters he hadn't unlocked yet. Yeah. Because he brought back, like, Juventud Guerrera to, like, reignite their WCW feud, which is fucking crazy. But, yeah. So, I think that just because we've gone for a little bit over an hour now, I feel like this, at any point, talking about greatest feud in probably all of wrestling last year, is just, we should wrap it up by just talking about generally what AEW has going for it and why, despite its flaws, we do love it. You know?
Yeah, definitely. So, like I said before, I grew up watching wrestling as a kid, and like, I got out of it just because, like, I don't know, time just got away with me in wrestling, and like, I just kind of dropped out of it a bit, and like, I started watching, like, actively watching AEW back in January. So like, I've been watching it for the past, like, basically 5 months, and just, it has that kind of like somewhat nostalgia factor for me. Because, like, I get to see great guys again, like CM Punk and, like, other guys. I can't remember any off the top of my head right now.
Well, Hardy would
Hardys.
Hardys.
Yeah,
the Hardys. Yeah.
Hardys. The one thing I will say that I'm very interested to see, and I keep waiting for him to come back, is because, like, I know he founded the company. But I'm excited for him to eventually come back and be able to experience his stories. It's Kenny Omega.
We're talking about Kenny, yeah. Yeah, and I think that your story, Joey, is one that I've heard a lot of friends of mine talk about who were into wrestling in some bygone era and now have gotten back into it because of this charm. And I don't even know if it's nostalgia purely. I think so much...
I think another factor to it is, like, AEW, like, for the most part, also tells, like, more mature kind of stories. Because, like, in WWE, they obviously cater to, like, children.
There's more of a charm and, like, intrigue to their stories, at least as we see it, as far as we see it. This is our personal opinion, but, and I think that just because there's so many fresh faces, so many unique and interesting ideas, so much that, and people will sometimes complain about AEW catering to a certain group of, like, hardcore fans, but at the same time, they've, like, reached so many people. Like, I don't think that's true when so many people I know who have started watching wrestling again have gotten back into it because they've heard how great AEW is, you know? Like,
yes, they'll, like, call back to, like, I will admit, like, I will fully admit, in my eyes, one of the somewhat problems with AEW is that to get into it when you, like, know almost nothing about wrestling, there's kind of a hurdle to go over, in my opinion, at least. But at the same time, they're like, showcasing this shit to people, like, without like AEW, without AEW, I wouldn't know about, like, the Raven CM Punk match and shit.
And
like,
here's the thing: I feel like AEW does more to inform wrestling fans as well on wrestling history. Because if you look at WWE now, WWE is very selective with the history it wants to talk about, for good reasons and for bad. But you look at the roster now, and it's like, who the fuck are some of these guys? Like, and not in the same way that, not who the fuck are they in the same way that, like, AEW kind of presents them. More just who the fuck are they in that WWE doesn't entirely give you a reason to care all the time. But, and again, it's just personal opinion, but I do think that AEW, in a weird way, despite how much it references pro wrestling history, it's more accessible in a weird way because it does enough to inform people on how this history is playing into effect. And also, a lot of its original feuds are just fucking great as well.
Oh, yeah. Like, just, like, it's one of the things that, like, it's informing people of people's legacies. Like, like, to be current right now, they're talking about, like, all the work that Owen Hart put in his life, and people are, like, overtly talking about his legacy, which is something that, like, WWE can't or doesn't really do that much. Like,
yeah. And obviously WWE has had some kind of, like, restrictions on how much they can acknowledge Owen Hart because of the fact he died due to an accident during their company, like, while employed by them.
Yeah.
But I do think, and now this is so Owen Hart is one of my all-time favorite wrestlers, but I think that AEW has kind of taken a more sensitive approach to, like, how it treats its employees. Again, hasn't been completely perfect. I think, like, we're kind of at the point now where a lot of people are kind of waiting out their contracts because they haven't been utilized that much as they were when AEW first started. Joey Janela is, like, the big example for me.
Yeah.
And I know there was a kind of a situation with Big Swole talking about how she didn't really think that, like, Tony Khan had, like, the best interests of diversity in mind, which I don't really want to get into. That's kind of neither here nor there. And that's not what we're trying to talk about, pretty much.
Exactly,
you know?
exactly.
We're not equipped to talk about that kind of nitty-gritty stuff on here. But we're here to gush, we're here to joke, we're here to just have a goof, a gaff, and a real good time, you know? We just need to acknowledge so that we don't sound biased or anything.
Exactly,
you know?
exactly.
Yeah. But, like, truthfully speaking, Joey, like, we're in the AEW fan camp right now. I think it's fair to say.
Oh yeah, like AEW 100% is the reason why I'm back interested in wrestling in the first place. And, like, yes, it has their problems, but at the end of the day, I just find it to be good shit. Like,
it's fun.
Just fun.
We're having fun. This is fun. I'm having fun. Do you get it, Vince?
I'm having fun and not, like, watching a 3-hour slogfest. But anyway.
What? Don't make me resent you. AEW doesn't make me resent it. I think that's it. It doesn't book out of spite. That's another thing. We'll touch on that when we do an episode more focused on WWE, or at least, like, current day WWE. But yeah, basically, AEW is just a load of fun.
AEW, baby.
So with that, Joey, I feel like this is about as good a place to end it as any, I think. So, thank you for tuning in. I don't know why I slapped my desk. I don't know how loud that was. That was pretty... Oh, yeah. Ooh. I just checked my volume register, and it's like, dude, what the fuck did you do? But anyways, thank you. Thank you.
Feature Joey, that's a great... Anyway,
thank you so much for listening to this episode of We're Having a Shoot. If you listened all the way through, we greatly appreciate it. And if you like and subscribe, you'll have more than a 50-50 chance of getting listening to more podcasts from us.
I have to say, being able to record a second episode, this is fun. Just because, like, this is a really fun spin-off podcast that I'm glad that we're doing, because it leaves less room for me to take up time on the main podcast of filling it with just wrestling.
Exactly.
Not in a negative way. Like,
yeah, but we talk about it so frequently, and We're Having a Stroke is more of a catch-all, broader appeal type of podcast that I feel like it's better if you and I do this as a thing with no real strict schedule in mind for it. Just turn on the headset and go type of deal.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you guys so much for listening. If you liked what you listened to, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe for more episodes of We're Having a Shoot and We're Having a Stroke. Again, thank you so much for listening. My name is Joey. My co-host is Chris.
Yep, I've been Chris. Thank you guys once again for listening. We really appreciate it, and we'll see you guys when we see you.
Take care.